Okay, good afternoon. Thank you to Mayor Baraka, Women's and Wellness Wealth Building Workshop. My name is Alexis Trusty. I am the Commissioner on the Status of Women and also the founder of My Sister's Keeper. Thank you so much for coming out today. We have a great guest speaker named Kasham Latif Holland, and she's going to talk to you about financial literacy. I'm excited to have you in the room and look forward to talking to you more about this event.
So I started a business in real estate like 18 years old. And probably not like any of you, or maybe, I had a good childhood, and then, something happened. And things turned around for me dramatically. And I decided to either become a victim or to overcome. So through the process, in the early teens, I guess like 17, 18 years old, I was in an abusive relationship with domestic violence. And it continued until I was almost 29 years old. A judge here in Newark saved my life at about 25 years old and said, you have another chance because he's going to be gone for a long time. And it gave me a chance to start over. And when I felt like that God gave me another chance to do something, I was going to do exactly what I always dreamed of, the best I could with whatever I had. And no more excuses for why I couldn't do anything I wanted to do. So I had a lot of support in real estate. I started real estate at 19 years old. I had people in the business. I started out just volunteering, helping out. If you don't charge them anything, they let you in any room. You just sit there. You say, "I'll help and I'll do this." So I ended up in small rooms, then larger rooms, then rooms with millionaires, then rooms with billionaires, and I gained a lot of my experience through that. I had a very short length in my education. I didn't continue my college education. I didn't continue my high school education in school. I took a GED at 15 years old. And I started working 3 jobs in real estate, and real estate saved my life, I would say, because it was able to get me in a financially stable position where I was able to be independent and not have to depend on people and not have to really worry about what people thought about me or how I looked or what I did. It was a passion. I created beautiful products through construction. Now I own and operate a $1 million construction company. It's a woman minority business enterprise. I'm having growing pains now, thank God, and I'm trying to get to the next level. So through this process, and hopefully through the women in this room, we can build a team to get me over the hill. Because at this point, with what I have, I feel like I've reached my capacity alone. So now I need to build a team of strong, powerful women to carry me across this water to my next journey. And I'm 41 years old now. I have a ton of experience, 22 years. I've been in the appraisal business, the title business, the real estate business. I own and operate a real estate brokerage. I do performers. I'm a designated developer. I'm working in a housing authority for the city of East Orange, developing properties there. I'm doing a lot. I need help. I need support. I need very sharp, witty, intelligent, sassy go-getters. It's everyone has a place. I don't have an extensive amount of education, but I was able to put my daughter in her 3rd year in Penn State. So what I couldn't do for myself, right now I strive to do for her. And, I just want to say that no matter what happens to you in your life, just don't look back. That's behind you. Your future is whatever you can create in your mind for yourself. Sky's the limit. And at this point, my only limit is I need to move forward, and I need good, strong, serious, I want to say kind, because we still have to work together, so we have to be kind and respectful. Just, and the women.
Thanks.
That's it. That's what I'm looking for.
Thank you, guys. So, moving forward, I'm going to bring Ashley up to introduce our next speaker, which is a phenomenal person. But Ashley is a part of my sister's keeper. She is an amazing, young, beautiful sister. And I don't like to work without having my younger people actually work, because you can't do it alone. And it's not about us, it's about the community. So give her the opportunity to introduce the next person. Thank you.
Hello, ladies. Can you hear me? All right, I'm a little nervous. I don't really speak that often. So I attempted to read the bio. Couldn't necessarily get it right, but I do want to thank you all for coming today. I do want to thank Cash for helping us out on this journey that we're on, and I do hope that you all come back for the next workshop and the next one, and then I hope that any youth that you have, oh, you can hear me? And the youth that you have are a part of this symposium that we're having coming up. So I would like to introduce Cash, the CEO and owner of Financial Boss, to come up and let you and speak to you guys about what she does and how financial literacy is very important in today's community.
Hello, people. Forgive me, I'm not used to being at a podium. This is really awkward. I am usually just out and about and all over the place. We were having some technical difficulty, don't really know what's going on with the projector, so I'm just gonna kind of talk to you guys, all right? I did provide Post-its and pens, so please take notes. If you have any questions, you need to ask me anything, please do so, okay? So first and foremost, I'm just gonna start out. Yes, my name is Cash. My full name is Kashem Latif Holland. That's a long thing to be saying, it's a mouthful. Please just call me Cash, okay? I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, to a meager household, and I realized early on in life that I took after my father, who was a spender, right? My mother was the saver. And throughout my life, basically, I tried to figure out how I could financially manage things, of which I totally sucked, to be real honest, okay? What wound up happening is I wanted to figure out how I could save more money without cutting back on my spending on certain things like hats and sneakers and all that type of stuff, right? So I decided to move to New Jersey, right? Because it's very close, it's right across the water, yet the cost of living is much lower, as well as the housing expense is much lower. So I moved to New Jersey in about 2011, and after that, I've always been very mathematically inclined. And so I decided that I wanted to go to school. I went right to Essex County College. I obtained my associates in accounting, of which I'm really happy about that because of the fact that I still am a licensed tax preparer. So it's helped me a lot in life. What I did realize soon thereafter, though, is that I no longer wanted to actually be in the accounting field. And so my passion at the time very strongly was technology. And so what I then decided to do was go back to school for my bachelor's. I went to Montclair State University, and I obtained my bachelor's in Management of Information Technology, Business Analytics, and my minor was entrepreneurship. So during my coursework of entrepreneurship, what I needed to do and what I had to do as a part of my prereq is I had to take a company from inception to fruition. And that's how Financial Boss was actually born. So what I realized, again, as I mentioned to you guys, is when I was younger, I really didn't have the tools that I needed. I didn't learn how to financially manage things until I became much older. So what I thought about is how beneficial it would be to other people, and especially the children, how much better their life would be if they learned some of these basics when they were young. So Financial Boss is a nonprofit organization whereby we instruct and educate people, especially children from age 5, in the matters of financial literacy as well as money management. The key purpose and mission of the company is to educate, empower, and edify others so that we can better use our financial resources. So, as I mentioned, when I was obtaining my bachelor's, which is now 3 years ago almost, in 2017 is actually when Financial Boss was born. However, here within the last year is mostly when the most traction has been made. And in addition to that, although primarily I work in like school districts as well as after school programs for children, my main purpose was always to educate the community. And what I realized is that we are faring badly as far as finances are concerned. It's not our inadequacy or our inability to make money. It's the proper management of it, or the spending in different ways and other options that doesn't give us the opportunity to create generational wealth, which is, of course, what we all want, right? So what I started doing was basically just talking to people about finances. I've always been the person, once I kind of got it together on my own, been the mentor. Different people came to me and asked me how to do things, or how am I able to buy a car, how am I able to vacation so frequently, and I give them just little tidbits that actually work in my life also. And so that's one of the things that I continue to do. Just to let you guys know, I am at the Newark Public Library the first 3 Tuesdays of every month, and the only thing that changes is the topics. And so basically I provide dinner there on Tuesday, 5:30, and then we get into the workshop at about 6:30. So please join us. This month we're really talking about saving money. Last month we talked about credit, everything from soup to nuts, and we also have going over like budgeting, spending, saving, all of that. Everything that influences us or that we need in order to make better financial decisions. That's what my goal is to educate the community and to really tell everybody things that are not publicized and broadcasted, but there are actually things that we actually need, right? So the first thing that we need to start out with, or what I start out with, is the foundation, right? The foundation for me is the budget. And I know, like, most people don't like to hear that word, right? So I'm gonna change it up, right? Well, first off, let me say one other thing too. Man, I don't even know if we're like able to do this. Let's try this, because I'm like I said, this podium is really new for me. I'm not the person to do lectures and all that. I believe community is about everyone's engagement. And so I like to ask questions. I like to get your feedback and all of that type of stuff, right? So can anybody just tell me like what a budget is? Doesn't have to be dictionary definition, like real simple. Anybody, come on.
Your spending, knowing how much to bring in, your spending, and how much expenses you have.
Right.
And whatever that ending total is, if there's a total, because it also balances out your bills and debts and stuff like that, credit cards, whatever's left over, your budget.
Correct.
So tough.
What were you gonna say?
I was going to say the same thing, but I actually put notes and I have and I have in, out, and then that, I don't know but how much money did I have that was liquid in that.
Right, exactly. So I'm gonna just read you guys the dictionary term, right? It's a financial plan for forthcoming period of time to decide how much you have and how it can be spent, right? And that's exactly what we said. We're going to talk a little bit in a little while about the actual budget formula and how we get to it. But what I like to call it is the I can plan, right? Because I think that is really important, that how we phrase things and our terminology, it determines our mindset and our perspective. So we're not going to call it a budget, okay? We're going to call it an I can plan, because that's really what it is. It shows us what we can do. A lot of times I think that we look at it in the opposite way of what we're unable to do because we have bills to pay and all that. But if we change our mindset a little bit, it fares better and it makes us more engaged and want to do certain things, right? So again, I can plan. One of the things about this plan, this financial plan, the importance of it is, of course, like we've mentioned, many of you in your introductions or during the icebreaker mentioned that you want to get out of debt, or you want to keep your finances on track, you want to, home ownership is a goal. So this is what this plan allows us to do. See, because what I've learned is that if you're not able to see exactly the amount of money that you're bringing in and where it's going, then it's hard to actually make a plan or make a decision to do something different, right? And another thing is, like, when we were children, one of the things that we wanted to do was be able to make our own decisions, right? I remember having that feeling. I wanted to spend my own money. I wanted to dress myself, all of that type of deal. And so now here we are adults, yet we have the option, we have the choice to make our decisions. And I think that it's really important for us to make effective and efficient decisions, especially regarding our fiscal resources. So, as was mentioned, money is of course needed. This is what it is. We need it for our desires, we need it for our wants, and then we also need it for our basics and things that are essential in life. So like I mentioned when we talked about this formula, right, in order to plan financially for us. First of all, as was mentioned, I'm sorry I don't know your name, but what's your name? Nephara? Very pretty name. What you mentioned is just like what we start out with. So we always start out with our income, right? What we're making, the ends, like you mentioned, right? The ends, what comes in to our household as far as finances are concerned. So that's the first and foremost that we need to do. And we also need to make sure that it's our net income, right? Because as some of you, as all of us realize, once taxes and all that stuff comes out of it, we don't have the same amount that we started with, okay? So it's important that we use our net income. After that, the next point would be our fixed expenses. Fixed expenses usually are things that do not change on a monthly basis. So that's like your rent, if you have a plan with utilities, it could be fixed, it could be, flexible, but things that do not change. If you know that there's a certain amount of insurance that comes out every month, the same amount or the same amount per check, that is one of your fixed expenses. The next thing, of course, would be your flexible expenses. And so now, again, these are things that may change. So the amount of gas that is spent per week, right? Or how much you decide to eat out, right? That fluctuates depending on the month. Sometimes when it's a holiday month, we buy more food. That's what happens, right? Whereas another month or in the summertime, maybe we don't. Maybe we have to adjust things. So these are the three important things that we have to have in order to make an effective budget. And of course, after those things are taken care of, we then have what is left. And now we need to make some better decisions as far as exactly what that looks like, right? Excuse me. And so there are two different types of budgets that we can do. So we have this information now. How do we create a budget? Now we need to figure out what type of budget do we actually want to make and what are we able to make. So I'm sure, has anybody heard of the 50-30-20 rule? No? Okay, so the 50-30-20 rule is usually when 50% of your income you use towards needs, 30% of your income you use towards wants, and 20% goes into savings. Now, for some people this works. For other people, maybe not. So again, 50% of your needs or necessities, that includes rent, that includes food, that includes those things that are a necessity. And unfortunately, for many of us, we spend more than 50% of our income on the necessities of life, right? So another type of budget is the zero budget. And what that basically is exactly what it sounds. You know exactly what you're making, you spend and you allocate money till the bottom figure is zero, as opposed to doing percentages, which some of us are not able to do. Either way, though, I will have to say that we always want to include those three things, though, whether we're doing it in a percentage value or whether we're doing it just to the bottom line of zero. We always want to make sure that we are covering our necessities. We also need to cover some of our wants, which we're going to get into in a little bit, and we always want to have savings as well, right? So now, as far as budgeting, I just want to get into a little bit about how we do this and some easy ways in order to make sure that we have a budget, right? One of the easiest way is to automate. So many of you are familiar probably with auto pay of insurance or things of that nature. I would strongly encourage that, because what it does, for one, it makes sure that things are done effectively and efficiently. Secondly, though, it also makes sure that it's done, period. So I don't know if you, but I've done things before where I haven't sent it to auto pay, and I might have, just because of life, I'll forget. Now I'll incur a late charge, that I could have avoided if I just sent it to auto pay. So it saves us in the long run as well, right? Another thing that people often use is called the envelope system. And what it is just like it sounds. You take envelopes. On the outside of the envelopes, you write what the money in the envelope is going to go towards. So you write rent, you write telephone, you write car, you write gas, you write splurge time, because I think that that's very important, that we get some time to kind of relax and chill, right? And so whatever it is that you allocate to put into that envelope, that is what goes towards whatever it is that you said that it would go to. is usually extremely beneficial for those who deal in cash or receive money in cash a lot, maybe receive tips. It's a good way to hold on to that money and let it get to the spot that it needs to go to, or to pay whatever it needs to pay. In addition to that, we also have other like tracking apps. You can always do it on your own spreadsheet if anybody's familiar with like Excel or any other Microsoft product, or there's another one called like Quattro Pro, which is a spreadsheet where you just enter your information and you kind of do your own budget. And then one of the main things that's helped me is the buddy system, right? So I have an accountability partner, always, because as I mentioned before, I'm a habitual spender. So I need to be accountable. Sometimes I need for me to say, like, you know, like you don't need that next pair of sneakers, like go on and put it back, you know, and it works for me. And so I would encourage you to do so also. And whether that's a friend or someone in your family, however it goes, it can be extremely beneficial to have that. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is some other things in order to track your budget. So I mentioned about certain apps. So I'm just going to give you a couple of apps that I've personally used that may be helpful and beneficial. So one is Mint, M-I-N-T. It's a free app. It helps you track your expenses. It's really beneficial, again, especially if you don't have the extra money to spend on it. It is free, as I mentioned. There's another one that's called You Need a Budget. I know we said we're not gonna use that word, but they use it already, so I have to. So that one is actually $6.99 per month, or if you want to pay it off yearly, it's $83.99. Again, same type of premise. It does give you a little bit more options than Mint does, but works just as well. Another one is called Pocket Guard, and so Pocket Guard is a little less expensive. It's called, it's $3.99 a month, or it's $34.99 a year. I'm sorry, yes? You Need a Budget. And so those, if you're into apps and it makes it easier for you, all you have to do is enter, you know, data entry, and it kind of does your tabulations for you. So you don't have to sit and write it out. So sometimes it's beneficial. And so those are three apps that I know that I've personally used. They work, and I would, you know, implore you to kind of go ahead and try it out and see what works for you. One of the other things that I definitely want to mention is when we're doing a budget, it's important that we know that it's fluid, right? So just like I mentioned before, there are some things that change, either on a weekly basis, a monthly basis. For those who get paid bi-weekly, things change. And so what I actually encourage you to do is continue to review your budget. And however you want to do it, if you want to do a monthly budget, fine. Then every month redo your budget. If you do it according to your paycheck, bi-weekly or whatever, do it bi-weekly, however it is. But continue to review your budget on a consistent basis, because things change, again, depending on the month, depending on the season. The other thing that I would definitely tell you is that budgeting is like a team project. And I think what happens is that we forget that, especially if we're in households with families and we have a significant other, or we have children, whether young or older children. Everybody has to be on board in order for it to work. And so I think that that is very important going forward, like if you're not already doing it, to make sure that it is a family engagement if you are a part of a family. The only thing, the major thing that usually deters us from doing well with the budget is that everybody's not on board. Now, I don't know about you guys, like I have a 3-year-old granddaughter, and she pits me against my daughter and my daughters all the time. She'll come to me and ask for something, I say no, she go to them and ask, they say yes, right? Same thing happens with a budget. If everybody is not on the same page, then it's going to fail eventually. And it's kind of depending on how much you're talking about will kind of determine how badly you fare from it failing. So I would definitely encourage for everybody to kind of make sure that it's a team project. Make sure that everybody's on board. You all know that, you know, if it's going to be a family trip, listen, we're saving for a family trip. So that means that we usually go out and, you know, go to the movies every week. We're going to take that out because we're budgeting and we're saving for a family trip, right? And it's important to know what our why is. So what I've learned is that no one does anything for a significant amount of time if it's not a real good reason behind it, right? And money is not always our motivator. And so we need to find out what our why is. What prompts us, whatever that is. So yeah, if that is home ownership, if that is saving for a trip, if that is family bonding, whatever it is, we need to know why we're budgeting so that we'll continue to do so. Why do we have this plan, this financial plan, to make our lives better? Another thing, like I was just mentioning, right, there are a lot of things that are centered around finances. You know, there are households that break up because of financial matters, right? See, so by having this plan, we could end spousal issues. It definitely reduces our overspending. We get the opportunity to save money. And as I mentioned, we'll pay off vehicles, pay off debts, be able to buy a home, start a business even. You know, because what some people don't really realize is that even to start a business, it requires startup money. And so it's imperative that we have this money that's accessible in order for us to move forward, just to get it registered with the state in order to any type of seed money, whether you have a product or a service, whatever it is, you are going to need finances in order to do so. So this is a great place to start, is by doing this plan so that whatever goals we have, we'll be able to attain them effectively. So now, so we talked about this plan, this financial plan, budget, right? As a part of the budget or a part of this plan, we have to spend and save, right? That's what was mentioned. We have to know what's coming in, we have to know what's going out, which is what we're spending, and then the other thing is how much we're saving. So let's like kind of get into spending a little bit, right? Because to spend is basically to, of course, give money as payment, to dispose of, to use. That's what we do when we spend. We spend money, we use it, we give money for something like rent or food, transportation, whatever it is. Another thing that I just wanted to mention, like as far as like material things, a lot of us get caught up into the material things of spending, and I think it's very essential for us to know why we are spending on certain things. So I'm going to read something that I don't know, maybe you guys have heard before, but there was a gentleman who was asked, why do we spend, especially when we're talking about like the labels or the things that other people have already attained that now we wind up finding or we wind up following in. In 2017, that was the year where the most BMWs were sold, right? And what they found, or when asked again, it was a simple thing that was said to them. And it was basically said, I'm gonna read it for you guys, okay? When you can't enjoy true freedom, you surround yourself with the symbols of that freedom. And can anybody relate to that? Right? I can. I got a wall full of hats, and I got one head. Okay, I remember, because I mean, quite honestly, like retail therapy still kind of does it for me on a bad day. Okay, I could go to the mall. I've done it, you know, where I go. This one time I got 2 pair of sneakers, came home, I didn't have a hat, I didn't have an outfit to match it or anything. Like fortunately, once I got out of my little funk, I was able to take the receipt and go take it back. Because that's exactly what I did. You know, because it wasn't in my plan. I couldn't afford to spend that week. So I had to go ahead and take it back. But this resonated with me, right? Because of the fact that sometimes when we're feeling a certain way, we need to fill the void. Like we need to have something tangible that makes us feel better. And so, again, one of my main purposes is just to make people aware of what's going on. Like that's half of the battle if you know what's going on. And I know that, yes, if I'm not feeling that great, that it feels good to me to go spend some money. I know that. But with having that, realizing that about myself and knowing myself, I'm able to do it more effectively. I'm not like when I was younger where I just went and kind of, you know, blew money for no absolute reason. Now I'm able to do something just a little bit different. And so I encourage you guys to kind of do the same thing also. I really wanted to go into the 4 types of spenders, and we're going to keep it brief because my time is almost up, I think. But there are 4 different types of spenders, okay? There's one that's called a spendthrift. There are also misers. I know you guys have heard that word before. There are the frugal people, and then those who are cheap or thrifty. That's you? Okay. And what I'm basically going to do, I'm going to go through just a few characteristics of each and a few recommendations as to how you could, if that is you, what you could do to put you in a better financial position, okay? So first off, how many spendthrifts do we have? Spendthrift. So the spendthrift spends too much money, usually is kind of reckless about it, excessive, extravagant, immoderate, right? I'm gonna raise both hands, okay? Because that is all the way me. All right, so that particular person, like I said, often spends too much, just has to spend, right? It's like a inclination inside, like you know what I'm saying, like that type of deal. The next one I talked about was a miser, right? Anybody a miser, has money, doesn't really want to spend it though, chooses kind of what they spend on it? Okay, sounds good. So what about like those who are kind of cheap and thrifty? And that means you don't spend a lot of money, you kind of look at the price, sometimes over the quality. Okay, got you. I've done it. And then you have those who are frugal. And so it's a little different because they carefully spend. They don't spend unnecessarily, they make sacrifices, and they're very cautious economically, right? Okay. Now, I have a little bit of all of that depending on the situation. So, like, I spend a lot, but I'm not spending $30 for a shape-up. I don't care. Like, I'm going to go spend $8, even if it's a little bit better. Like, that's just what it is. So I think that all of us sometimes have a little bit of a combination, right? What I've also wanted to talk about, like what we're talking about now, is our habits of spending. And so, of course, a habit is an acquired behavior. It's a pattern. It's something that we've gotten used to doing. And so what I want to talk about is how we can form good habits, because a habit becomes involuntary. Involuntarily we do these things. Good habits we are usually formed, whereas bad habits we kind of fall into often. So now for the spendthrifts, who was that again? Right. What I would strongly encourage you to do is to plan out your spending. So again, what we talked about is a spendthrift is a person who kind of just has to spend, likes to spend, wants to spend, always needs to spend. Kind of needs to spend inside a little bit, right? So the best tip that I could give you is to plan out your spending. Try to spend more on your needs over your wants, right? And then also give yourself an allowance. It's really helpful. So, like I mentioned, this is me all the time. So there's a particular time I have a bearded dragon at home, as well as a turtle, and my bearded dragon was getting older, and so she needed a tank. She really did. She was growing, it was stagnating her growth. But it just happened to coincidentally be a point in time when I wasn't feeling the greatest, going through some things. So as opposed to going to get something that I really did not need, I didn't need to upgrade her tank. So that's what I chose to do. It was a need, and it fulfilled this part of me that I just wanted to spend some money, and I kind of needed to in order to feel just a little bit better that day. So I kind of did both, In addition to that, I mentioned splurging a little while ago. I give myself a certain amount that I'm able to spend per week. And that depends on the week, and that depends on what I need to spend it on. So sometimes, if I really do need some new sneakers, like when I was going to the gym and stuff, I needed a pair of good sneakers that were comfortable. I said I'm not spending over $60 though. That was my budget. Then there are some times when, when the summer comes around, when as soon as Rita's open, I kind of need a gelati allowance for the week. Just to kind of cool my palate. That's what goes on. But like I said, for those who are the spendthrifts, give yourself an allowance. Make yourself know that it is okay to spend money. Just put a little cap on it. That's it. Because I think what happens is a lot of times we're told no, right? Which kind of makes us want to do it more. And so now if you tell yourself, like, it is okay. It's okay for me to spend. It's not okay for me to spend the whole check though. But it's okay for this part for me to spend. Again, getting back to that I can plan, right? We're talking about what you're able to do, what you're telling yourself, the choices that you're making, the decisions to do this. So I need to do this. I can spend this amount. And that's what actually helps, right? Who's the misers? Anybody? Miser? Okay. So misers usually do not, has money sometimes, don't really want to spend it, right? So for a miser, what I would definitely encourage you to do is spend on a long-term plan. So to look more towards retirement. So then you're not really interested in spending in the short term or spending right now on a consistent basis, but it still is important that you spend and save. I would also definitely encourage the miser to invest in yourself, because that's oftentimes what does not happen. And so traditionally the miser doesn't go shopping often, has the same, coat 7 years now, that type of deal. Let it be okay to invest in yourself. That's fine. And of course within reason, again, because I think that it's really important that we have a balance and there's certain things that we need to do. So now next is the cheap and thrifty people. I saw y'all. So again, I would say to whatever's not spent, so everybody knows does everyone know what an opportunity cost is? Okay, so opportunity cost is basically when you give up something for something else. Right? So what we said, even with those who are like cheap or thrifty, usually sometimes for the lower price, then, other things don't matter. I said that as far as myself too. The haircut may not be as good, but it cost me $22. That makes a difference to me. What I would encourage though is the extra money, put that to your savings. So like that's what I started doing. Is like theoretically, I was still spending $30. It just didn't go to my barber. $8 went to my barber, $22 went in my savings, right? See, so now, again, you're able to use the same amount of money that you would have spent, but now you're able to fulfill both your wants and your needs, right? In addition to that, for those who are like thrifty, I would seriously encourage you to splurge on yourself. Again, know that it's okay. Because sometimes we don't. Sometimes we're taking care of the family and we're making sure that everybody else has, and we don't really concentrate on ourselves. So that would be a key point, is to go ahead and splurge on yourself. Again, set a certain amount that you're able to do that. And last but not least, those who are frugal. The frugal ones are very consistent and more so calculated on how they spend. So again, what I would definitely encourage you to do is to pay down your debt. If you have debt, for those who have been extended credit and now have used that credit and it's turned into debt, pay your debt down. In addition to that, plan for emergencies. So that's where the emergency savings comes into play, and plan for your future. Because again, usually the frugal person is the one who is economically, not more stable necessarily, but who thinks of things more economically. Excuse me. Who also does things not very sporadically. And so for those persons, plan for your future, as opposed to just kind of holding it on. This is when you get into the retirement. This is when you may decide to invest either in real estate or stocks or bonds. This is what you do. Yes?
Well, money can't go two places, right?
Right.
Money can't go from your definition. But from my rationale, money can't go two places. So I'm very frugal. It takes us like 3-4 months to purchase something. If it's a big purchase, we'll go visit it several times.
Yeah.
And say, do we really need this thing here? But the rest of the money, for the most part, between bills, miscellaneous, we reinvest in our hobbies and our personal development and our personal businesses. So that's what we do.
Okay.
And we don't really squeeze out much for savings. So it's kind of like you end up, although it seems good and purposeful, it still ends up somewhere that's lacking.
Correct.
And there's no safety net.
Yeah.
So that has been because we keep, Cat Williams said it, trying it. So we keep like, you know what I mean? So that's pretty much where, because the angel investment and the initial investment to start a business comes out of pocket.
Right.
So we've been minimalists. I've been a minimalist person since 22 years.
Okay.
Only based on necessity.
Right.
I felt like the most can do it.
Yeah.
Why should not? And I heard that phrase that you made about, the symbols of status.
Mm-hmm.
And you really can't stunt in the world.
No, not at all.
Other than you stunt on other black people or really your community. You can't really stunt in a way that is really impactful.
Exactly.
And it's not something that's tangible in the long term. You can't hold on to it.
Right.
So I just like got rid of that and spent lots of money on personal development. I may have spent more than $10,000 for the past 5 years.
Nice.
Personal and professional hobby.
Yeah. And that's great, just like you said, but we need to, balance is essential. So we need to be able to cover all bases, because I'm not saying personal development is excellent and it's something that all of us need. That's why we're here, right? It's to develop ourselves personally, which will affect us financially, which will affect our home ownership, affect our businesses. However, what if something happens? Are you prepared for an emergency? It happens. I'm gonna tell y'all a story, right? I go down south a couple of times a year. I have family that lives down there. And one of my cousins who I usually stay with, her birthday was December 1st. So I decided that I wanted to travel down there, go to the birthday party, and then I had to come right back. Went to the birthday party the night before. That morning, it was a Sunday. December 1st was a Sunday this past year. I decided I'm gonna leave early, head back to Jersey, so that I could go ahead and get on, with my week or whatever. An hour into driving, my battery light comes on. So I'm like, okay, maybe I need a new battery. Fortunately, I was about a mile or two from AutoZone, went to AutoZone. They can't charge the battery. They can't check the alternator, anything like that. I'm like, man, I hope it's not the alternator, right? Because I don't know about y'all, if y'all know, but down south, they have a real quality of time ethic. So most people do not work on the weekend. It's not like here in New Jersey, New York, things like that. They don't work. A lot of them, they have their own businesses. They're like what you would call a mom and pop shop. They're not open, period, on the weekend. And if they are, they may do like a 9 to 12 in the morning. That's it. So now here it is on a Sunday, right, where the only place that was open was Firestone, which is a auto franchise or whatever. Call them, they say I would have to bring it over there, but they can't really test it right now. I say, okay, I'm gonna stay at AutoZone. I let the battery charge for like an hour and a half. Still, when they pulled it off, no signal or nothing. Had to go to Firestone. Anyway, go to Firestone. Firestone says that, I think that's the alternator, because if the battery is not charged, it's probably the alternator. They say, no, we have to check it. $40 to check it. For him to come back and say, what'd he say to me, y'all? It was the alternator, right? It was the alternator. Now, he's like, okay, it's the alternator. Let me check and see if we could do it now. Say, okay. Long story short, the bill came to like $476, right? And I was so angry. I was really upset in the moment, right? But the reality of it is, and what I had to flip and think about is, because I've been making, some changes in life, because I have a separate emergency credit card, period, where it goes to auto expenses, because I don't drive a brand new car. I got a 2004 GMC Envoy. So things could happen, period. I have a separate credit card. Do I look at the credit card sometime in my wallet and want to go swipe it somewhere else? I do. Do I? No. Because it's important that I have this emergency card just for things like that happen. And so I'm fortunate that I had the availability, you know what I'm saying, and I was able to pay for it. I'm real fortunate that I didn't have to call 10 people to get $40 though. I'm extremely ecstatic at the fact I didn't have to set up a GoFundMe page to get back to New Jersey, because guess what? Unfortunately, I got people's, they don't do the best financially either. I might still be in North Carolina, to be real honest. So it's important. And like things happen like that in my life, which drives home the point that this is so essential. So anytime when I am feeling like, oh man, I could just go buy something else, I think about that. I think about the fact that, oh man, I don't want to be in that position. And so, yeah, I was able to pay it and go on and get back on the road. And so it's essential. Do I also take money, like you said, for personal development? And I have, as I mentioned, Financial Boss is a nonprofit organization. I do have 2 other for-profit companies that I run. So I fund Financial Boss myself and have been. So I know what it is to have to use money for something else and all this type of stuff, and where's it going to come from? through it all, but I can't ever take it away from the fact that an unforeseen expense could come up in my life. That's just how it happens. The potholes, anything can happen, an accident, anything. And like I mentioned, I have a 3-year-old grandchild. My children are 19 and 21. Something could happen in their life, even though they don't currently live with me full time. However, something could come up in their life. I have other expenses. I have other responsibilities. And so what I really want to drive home is the fact that the balance is essential, right, in all of this. No matter how our personal spending habits are, whether we're a spendthrift or frugal, or, whether we're kind of thrifty or we're misers, however it is, we need to somehow be able to combine all 4 of them, right, because it requires us to do so in order for us to have the financial freedom and the management that we want, right? So I want to give you guys 4 tips on good spending habits, what we just talked about, right? Just like kind of 4 takeaway points. And so first and foremost is our I Can plan, all right? Plan your spending. Everybody in this room, I'm sure, has heard the fact that if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. It is true in everything, especially in finances. Because again, we don't know what's going to happen, things change. And so first and foremost, we want to plan our spending out. In addition to that, don't spend more than you earn. So that kind of goes back to the I Can plan, right? Knowing exactly what's coming in. Not how much you were hired for the $50,000. No. The $37,542 that you get after taxes. It's important that we know what's coming in, because if not, then we'll tend to spend more than we actually have. So try to get in the habit of not spending more than you earn. In addition to that, invest in yourself. However that goes, whether it's in retirement, whether it's in a savings plan, or whether it's just splurging. Make sure that it is a part of your plan, though. As long as it's a part of your plan, you know that it can always happen, and you're able to deviate or adjust depending on that. So if you are the person who, gets your hair and nails done, and that's something that needs to be done on a consistent basis or twice a month or however that goes, just put it in your plan, period. And I guess last but not least is just kind of be positive and change your mindset. I think that when you're dealing with finances, especially if you want to be able to manage your finances and attain the freedom that we all look for, right? It's imperative that we shift our paradigm and the way that we think about things. Because if not, then we'll continue to do things sometimes in the same poor habits that we have, right? And so again, what we're trying to do is have some good spending habits. Last but not least, we kind of touched on it, which is about saving and how we avoid wasting, right? We want to keep, hold on to, set aside, preserve. That's what saving means, right? But why saving is important? What you guys think? Emergencies, what else? Anything else? Why do we save? Huh? Security, what else you said? Future, right, all that. We can't predict the future. There's unforeseen circumstances or expenses that come up. It helps us provide a safety net in case of an emergency. And like you guys mentioned, it also gives us financial security. Again, like I said, even in my situation, I was a little bothered and upset, but I felt much better that I could pay it. The security it gave me, that I wasn't sitting there now trying to scramble and think of how I'm gonna do this. And like I said, it was my battery, right? So my phone was not charged and was dying, right? But fortunately, all I was upset is the fact that I had to pay it. Not sitting there trying to figure out how I was gonna pay it when I was 500 miles away from my home. Like the security that it brings us. And then in addition to that, going forward into the next level is our financial freedom. What does freedom look like to you? What happened? Right? What else? What's freedom look like to you? No Peter, Paul, and Jeff? right? Mm-hmm. Anybody else got something?
I know when I was growing up, we used to go, my mother said, we had this, they would leave in the paper, make sure you pay the bills and make it turn off, that type of mindset.
Yeah,
And like they say a lot of times, you're supposed to have at least 6 months of savings.
you should.
I don't even know the logic of how that could be possible. I might have maybe 2 months, but you're talking 6. I mean, that takes a lot of discipline, a lot of budgeting.
It does.
Because like I get paid every week, but I'm not gonna get any next week's check. It's a struggle.
Oftentimes, yeah. I mean, one of the things, well, like I mentioned early on, so at the library, coinkadinkly, this Tuesday, we're actually talking about saving, right? And last week, well, this whole month, but last week we kind of talked about couponing and how that could cause, affect your financial habits and cause you to save. But this week, particularly on Tuesday, we are going to go into some of the things, like you mentioned, of how to effectively save, right? And how to save without even thinking about it. So I'm going to give you guys some tidbits. Shh, don't tell nobody else, though, okay? Because all the other people got to come to Tuesday. But y'all, I'm going to hook y'all up, all right? So one of the main things that I tell people, especially when savings, right? Who's a coffee drinker? Oh, caffeine in the building, okay? Anybody else drink tea, soda? What else? So something else that you spend money on like frequently, almost daily. What else? Cosmetics? Whoo, I'm glad I don't have that problem. What else? Anything else? Huh? Yeah, I mean daily or consistently, like weekly at least. There we go, we gotta eat, don't we? All right. So here's your tidbit. Coffee drinkers, even cosmetics, lunch, right? I told y'all I'm a math person, right? I do the math. So we're gonna take coffee, right? Now, even whether you're at Dunkin' Donuts, Starbucks, however it is, we're gonna just use round numbers right now for you guys, okay? So just Monday through Friday, getting some coffee, $5 a day, right? $5 a day is $25 a week, is $100 a month, is $1,200 a year. It's a lot on some caffeine, right? That's just once. That's not your 3 p.m. pick-me-up. That's not Saturday or Sunday. None of that. It is. Well, what I would encourage you, for one, please, if you have not signed in for my mailing list or the email list in the back, please sign in so that I have your contact information. Because one of the things, as I mentioned, I'm going to be starting a newsletter in April. It comes out, the first issue. And one of the things in there is the collaboration and networking for people. And so that is going to be a point of those who are looking to collaborate together. As all of you are aware, the city of Newark is in preparation to do some real nice things as far as home ownership and the land bank and things of that nature. And like you said, there are people who want to pull their money together and just don't know the other people. So what I want to do is be able to be the go-between, and because I come in contact with so many people and we have these financial conversations, to where I can kind of link you guys together. So that will be a part of it, right? In the meantime, though, what I would definitely encourage you to do is, again, the mindset, right? So the only thing that's changed is not that you don't have the money, it's that you don't got the accountability in the people. That's it. It's that you were giving your money to somebody else and then waiting for it to come back. And so you got to shift the paradigm a little bit, right? So like I said, maybe it would be, maybe you do get an online account and act like it's somebody else. And you can't get your money back until you get your money back. And put it there. Put it in some place that you don't look for, that you can't just get it right back from. Because that sounds like that's the only thing that changed, right? You're still making the money, you just don't have this team of people.
I mean, there has been some career circumstance, etc.
Got you.
Graduation, school, this,
Yeah.
career exploration kind of
But for the most part,
But for the most part,
all right.
If I had a group that I had to pay, I'd have figured out.
Listen, get some construction paper, draw some stick people, and give them their own account names, okay? Like, I'm serious. At the end of it, like, we got to put some things into action, right? And we got to use what we have. And so, yeah, if you don't have that team of people right now, you make your team of people. It's Valentine's Day. Every beer in America is going to be on sale on the 15th. Go get you 6 beers, give them names, give them accounts, and deposit. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got to get real creative with this stuff, you know? So one of the last things I just want to leave with you guys is some other ways to save, right? So this is tax time. Anybody know, does everybody know that? I'm sure everybody knows that, okay? Tax time is called, or what I encourage people to do is save windfall money, right? Or windfall income. And taxes kind of falls under that. So what that is basically money that kind of comes in, you didn't expect it, you didn't necessarily work for it, but it's here, right? It's a great opportunity to beef up your savings, to beef up your emergency account. Now I know we all start spending our tax money in October, right? That's what we do. We wait for the check to drop. But what I definitely encourage you to do is, again, plan how you are going to spend. I'm not saying don't spend it. Plan how you're going to spend it. So if that is that you need to cut down on some debt, do so. If that is, you know what, I've been holding off and I need to register my business, drop the $200 and register your business. Use that. Because it doesn't take away from your regular. You're still going to work next week, right? You're still going to get your regular check, right? So use that. Another thing is, like I mentioned, like we were talking about with the lunch, the coffee, same thing. Lunch, a lot of us, we eat out. I can't get a salad in Newark for under $10. That's a salad. I be trying sometimes. Then I gotta go get the 4 for $4. Cause like I need to save the $6. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. But at the end of it, like if we pick and choose, don't eat out every week or every day. Eat out, congratulate yourself and eat out twice a week. Let it be a Monday, because Mondays be hard sometimes. Monday, you need your pick-me-up. Friday, you made it through the end of the week. And then the $10 or whatever that you spend in the middle of the days, throw it in your savings account. Because why? You were used to spending it anyway. If you wasn't doing it this way, you go get you a meal, wouldn't you? Put it in your savings account. It's the easiest way, like again, because you're already spending the money. Then, like I mentioned, is saving challenges. Another thing that I just want to leave you guys with, and I think that we're going to close out with this. One of the things that you can do, everybody has drank soda at some point, right? Knows what soda tastes like? Yeah, y'all know the bottles they come in. Oh, actually, you know what? I'm going to give you 2. So, first and foremost, those who are soda drinkers, 2-liter bottles, right? It's called the Dime Challenge. Anybody ever heard of it? Yeah, right? Dime Challenge. In a 2-liter bottle, I encourage you guys to have an arts and crafts day, right? Take the 2-liter bottle, cover it with wrapping paper so that you cannot see in it. Every dime you get, put it in the 2-liter bottle, okay? Till it's full. It's gonna be a little heavy, but if you put fill a 2-liter bottle with dimes, once it's filled, it will be about $700. Now, for those who, that's just way too much, you can't really wrap your brain around that. Okay, got something else for y'all. Everybody drink some water at some point in your life, right? 16.9 ounce bottle, or a little soda, or however that goes, right? 16 ounce bottle, same thing. Cover it, dimes in it, $100 in that little bottle. How often do we come across dimes? Often, right? Okay. I'll get you. Yeah, I mean, I used to kind of be like that. For some things, I have to use cash. Like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, there's a chicken spot down the block from my house. They don't take card. I gotta have my $6. Like, you know, so you know, again, I'm just giving you some things that could be useful, helpful. Yeah. Oh, to throw the change in. Then what may be advantageous, you get paid weekly, bi-weekly. So what may be advantageous then is for you to set up with your payroll, because I'm sure you get direct deposit, right? And for whatever your savings is going to be for the month, have them take it out before it hits your account. Okay. Gotcha. And then you do it, exactly. Right? Same thing. I mean, there's always a way. Again, at the end of it, if we're motivated and this is what we want to do, that's why I'm going to go back to like your motivation or your why. If you really want to be a homeowner, you're going to do what you got to do to do it. It's just like for, I'm not currently, this is my full-time between this and my other businesses, but I had to get up 9 o'clock Monday morning and didn't want to do it. I did kind of like not having to sleep in the rain though. I like that when I clicked the button, my lights came on. I like that part. I didn't necessarily like going to work necessarily, right? And so we all do things for a greater reason. It's a greater purpose. So whatever your purpose is, again, I implore you to kind of start there. Whatever it is, if you want to own a business, if you want to be a homeowner, if you just want to be able to go to the grocery store and swipe your card and not have to sit there and think like, please, Jesus, let it go through today. Like, I mean, listen, we've had those moments, right? Listen, I think, man, did I count that extra expense? Ooh, I hope I'm not off by a penny and get embarrassed in the store and get rejected. We all want that, right? So if for nothing else, then we'll go ahead and put in the work that it needs to get done, right? Let me leave y'all with these 3 financial tips, just the stuff that we talked about, and that's, again, how we set out with our I Can plan. Make sure that you have a financial plan for your life, like, period. Whatever it is, whatever your goal is, start with the goals list, like Alexis mentioned, whatever your goal is. And now let's work to attain it, so that if it is, okay, ultimately I want a home ownership, or ultimately I want my business, but like right now I just want to get my credit straight, let's do that. And so we definitely want that I Can plan. We also want to make wiser decisions in the what we choose to spend our money on. So we want to start to encourage good spending habits and spending more wisely. And then, of course, save as much as you can, as frequently as you can. And again, that's going to depend on your own personal situation. And however it is, that's the first way to get there. I'm going to give y'all one last thing before I just wrap up, right? There's one thing that I have those who attend the workshop and like my personal one-on-one clients do, and that is I want you to create a timeline, right? We're still kind of in the beginning of the year, so it's cool. Create a timeline of what you want to accomplish in every quarter of this year. So we already in February, but still, by April, what you want to do, what you want to do by July, by October, and by December. And I tend to do things like this because I am a more visual person. So if I see it, it'll keep me more motivated in order to do so. So again, what I encourage you to do is set up a goal sheet. And I want you to do it in 3 different areas. First, personally, just yourself, you period. Whether that is to, I want to get my credit better. And that's in every form, and not just financially. I want to lose 20 pounds. However it is, do it for yourself personally. I also want you to do your financial goals. So if that is, I want to save $40 this week, or for this quarter, I want to save $1,000. For the year, or by December, I want to have $10,000 saved. And then I also want you to do it involving others. So if that is your significant other, if that is your husband, wife, if that is your children, your family, what goals do you have as far as that collaborative unit? And again, do the timeline in increments of 3 months so that you can see the progress. That's another thing sometimes we put, we have a great goal, I want to own a house, but sometimes we look at it and it seems so far away. And so what I encourage people is to set more short-term goals. First thing you got to do is get your credit score. All right, let's get your credit score going. Take the first couple months, and so now when you accomplish that, it just propels you to go forward, and it's that much easier. As opposed to say, I want to own a house, I ain't got no job. my credit sucks. Like, and anytime I get a dollar, I spend it on something I don't need. No, we got to start little, right? With everybody. It's just like anything else when we were children. Before we walked, we crawled. Before we ran, we walked. And it's the same thing in finances. We have to start small. So like I said, I encourage you guys, set a timeline for yourself, set some real positive goals and work towards them. Another thing, and I promise you this is gonna be the last thing, y'all. If you have setbacks, if you realize that you're doing your budget and it's in the negative or it's not as much money as you thought it would be, do not be discouraged, right? We all here to get better, right? That's what it is. We're here to get better and we got time. As long as we're above ground, it's a beautiful day. We got time to make the adjustments that we need to. So I would definitely encourage you to keep going. If you say, listen, I want to save $40 this week, something happened and you could save 20, be glad for the 20 that you was able to save. Because some people wasn't able to do that, right? See, so whatever it is, I'm always extremely positive and encouraging because one of the reasons that, things that I didn't really go too much into, but like, although I am college educated, this is not what I learned in school. Like I may not look at it, but I'm old enough to where I've messed up my credit and I waited the 7 to 10 years for it to fall off. I've done some things in life, like this is the school of hard knocks type of deal. I give y'all what works for me and what has been beneficial in my life. Not what I've read in a book, not what I think might happen or work. I've lived in an urban community all my life. Like I said, from Brooklyn, from Brownsville, Brooklyn, to now in Newark and every other part of the world. Like, so I give to you what I know works and what I'm hoping will work for you, okay? Thank you so much for showing up.
She was amazing, right? Yeah. I mean, so clap it up a little bit more, like, let's get some energy, right? So you guys got some fundamental tools, right? Did anybody take notes? Did anybody write anything down, right? Okay, again, don't forget to get her information. So when you leave from here, and it's some things that you guys want to talk about, again, she's open to it. Remember, she said that. Go on her webpage, right? Tap into that. Come on.
It's not really good. It's kind of with finances also. But one other thing I forgot to mention is the fact that I've collaborated with Project Ready and to close the gap. Right, and so what that is basically a lot of the things that our children are educated about, we make the decision, right? And unfortunately, not enough of us are voting to get the quality education that they need. So one of my personal mission is that I'm trying to change the curriculum as far as the financial literacy, because the standards that the city goes according to, or they're responsible for having our children learn, is not teaching them what they need to be successful when they get out of school. And that happens with a lot of our education, all right? See, so we are going to be set up in the back. I think you have some registration forms, right? So if you are not already registered to vote, please sign up and register to vote. If you are already registered to vote, we have little cards which just says that you are committed to voting. And again, the school elections are coming up in April. So we have a couple of months to do this. One of the things, like I said, we're trying to close the gap, and the gap between the amount of people who are able to vote and the amount of people who are actually voting. And again, it's extremely important. I have pitched before Newark Board of Education 4 times now, and I'm still waiting to receive information. So I've had to deviate and go around, because regardless of what our children need, this quality information. I'm sure everybody in here can say we'd have benefited so much more if we learned this when we were 6 years old, how to better manage our money. We'd be having a whole different workshop about how many billions we spending, or how we buy a new yacht, right? If we learned when we were 6 years old how to manage our money, right? So please, go ahead and sign up, fill out the card, like I said, and keep doing what you guys are doing, empowering the community, right? Thank you so much, Alexis. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mayor Baraka, right, for giving us this platform. Right, so we wouldn't be able to do this without, again, our mayor giving us this platform and the opportunity to have these workshops in a free space to learning, right? And so, again, I encourage you when you come back to bring a friend. I encourage you to hold us accountable. I mean, I'm in room 407 upstairs on the 4th floor. Again, I am your commissioner on the status of women. So my job is to make sure that we follow with policy and legislation and make sure that we are meeting the needs of all of the women in the city of Newark and in the surrounding areas as well. So not just buying homes, not just home ownership, not just business development, but even something as intimate as getting into the schools and educating our young women on how to be just better women, period, right? And so it's important. One of the things that I want to touch on real quick, because we want to follow time, we do got a couple more minutes because we started a little bit late, but just the goals. If you guys, we have some goal sheets, but if you take that, it says goals. I want to, let me get a little bit closer so I can make sure I'm seeing it right. So in the goal sheets it says, well, this one is I want to, so I want to, you put that down. If you need to take a picture of it, just put that down and put it even in your phone or just somewhere where you can see it. So you can say, I attain these goals daily. Like, it's important. This is something that you should put in your life. On the bottom, I have another goal sheet, which we was going to actually write out, but it's kind of late, so we'll do it on the next workshop. But on there, you put up there what your goal is, right? I will try, I will do more, I will do less, my priorities. And put that in your life because it's important. Find out what it is that you want. So for me, I want to build up more workshops, bring more people in, and at the end, I want to say that we bought up these blocks. We've gotten our businesses. We are financially free. We're sustainable. We can help better. That's how you're able to, we've educated more people on the rights of voting, right? Not just our younger people, but people who feel like they don't have it, like the imprisoned people. Like, we educated them on that because it's important. Take this. I have the sheets. Take a picture of it. Put this down. When you come back, I'm gonna charge y'all. I'm gonna say, let me see this, and where we at on this. And we're gonna reach goals as a group. So I'm telling you this because I want to see you again. Because the only way we can be effective is if you show up, and if you come consistently and hold yourself accountable for coming. I bring you the resources. It's almost like you're taking somebody to the right. I can't make you drink it, but I bring the resources and make everything possible so that you can move forward. That is our mission. I'm so driven by this mission that I won't eat and sleep until we get it and attain it. And not just for you, but even for myself. When I'm sitting here, I'm gonna say that I got that 3 family that I wanted. I'm able to see my sisters or my nieces and nephews not have to struggle, leaving a legacy for them, generational wealth for them. That's what's important. That is my goal. That is my mission while I'm standing here. And I hope that you guys help me help you make the mission successful. Right? So I appreciate you guys for coming. We have some stuff left in the back. And I think about healthy eating. So usually I would be the one eating snacks and chips and donuts, but I try to do something different. Bananas and oranges, some water, some juices, because if you're not healthy, you can't be wealthy. You have to remember that. If you're not healthy, you can't be wealthy. And so in order for you to be all of that matters. And so we're gonna make a mission to make things different in our community. And it's gonna start with us. And I'm charging you guys to make this happen with me. Okay, so when we come back, let's double these tables and double these chairs. All right? So give yourselves a round of applause. Let's get some energy flowing. Okay? It's still my birthday. All right? We're gonna have some fun afterwards. But more importantly, you guys showed up on a Saturday. You guys could have been doing something else. Me, on behalf of Mayor Baraka, I thank you. On behalf of the commission, we thank you. On behalf of my sister's keeper, we thank you, because I couldn't do this without you guys. So again, enjoy your Saturday. I look forward to seeing you on the 22nd, okay? Yeah. Be blessed and stay well.